There's a fine line between going above and beyond and free labor. And as a small business owner, it's really important to make the distinction. So let's get into it. Hi guys, it's Barbara. Welcome back to our channel where we talk all things branding, web design, online marketing, and running a business. Today I want to talk about the difference between going above and beyond for a client and working for free. There's a really fine line and it's easy to go into the working for free category. And unfortunately, clients sometimes like to push those boundaries, so you really need to make sure you protect yourself in order to deliver a great client experience that does exceed their expectations, but also get paid. I think this is really important for people in creative industries because notoriously creative industries have been undervalued. And as a small business owner, it's important to set those expectations up front so people know exactly what they're getting into. I've had plenty of people in the past say, why does it cost so much to build a website or a brand? Or I can get this for cheaper somewhere else. Can you match the price? And if you have those expectations laid out so they know exactly what they're getting for their money, then there's not going to be a discrepancy as far as the price goes, and they'll know what the deliverables are before they even get started. The fact is, we want to deliver a great service to our clients, and we care about the work that we are delivering, but clients do want to push boundaries sometimes, so you really need to protect yourself. And I've talked about boundaries in the past. We've made videos on boundaries, so I'll link that video down below so you can check that out. But boundaries are something that are super important to me, and I think as small business owners, we really need to be clear about what the expectations are for our clients and what they can expect from us, and make sure that we stick to those boundaries so we're not getting burned and we are getting paid for the work that we do. So as small business owners, what can we do to prevent the client from going outside of the scope of the project and entering into that free labor territory? Well, the first thing we need to do as small business owners is craft our client experience. So from the start of the project to the end of the project, what does that look like? You need to know, you need to get detailed, and you need to figure out the ways that you will go above and beyond for your client. Crafting a great client experience means adding in those extra things, those things that will make you go above and beyond competitors. So a good example of this is writing a handwritten thank you note to your clients for a great project. Say that you really enjoyed the experience of working with them and you wish them tons of success in your business. That's not something that a lot of people are doing, so that's a way that you go above and beyond for your clients. So that's just one example, but there's plenty of different things that you can do, and it's really important to sit and figure out exactly what you want that experience to be, ideally. Now, of course, it's going to vary between client and client because everybody is different and every project varies slightly, but if you have an idea going in as to what that client experience looks like, you're going to get better clients that understand the expectations and have clear boundaries. I will add to this that you want to be a bit flexible with this client experience. So, for example, let's say that you always want to have the first meeting with your client in person, but your client is a new mom. She has a newborn, and getting out to a meeting can be really difficult for new moms because they have to get childcare or they have to bring their child with them. So maybe a way to be flexible and go above and beyond is to say, you know what, I understand your situation. Let's do a virtual meeting on Zoom or Google Hangouts or something like that, where you don't have to worry about getting a babysitter for an hour. You can just stay at home. Your child can be in his room napping, and you don't have to worry about doing all the things that are required to go to an in-person meeting. So that's one way to be flexible. So you definitely want to make sure that you're client process isn't always set in stone. Your client experience has a little bit of flexibility because that is a way that you can go above and beyond what some of your competitors might be doing. So now that you've crafted your client experience, the second thing that you're going to want to do to make sure that those clients don't try to go outside of scope is to set up an intro packet. And this is something that we have preached before in previous videos and blog posts, but it is super important to do no matter what industry you're in. If you can tell your leads, this is how I work, this is what you can expect from me, then they're not going to have any complaints. They're going to know up front, this is how it works. People definitely appreciate that education, especially, like I said before, in creative fields where maybe people aren't so understanding of what the actual deliverable is. If you can lay that out for them, lay out the timeline, the pricing, all of that, before they even sign a contract, you're going to get a much better client. Third thing that you want to do, set up a contract, a good contract. Guys, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people and they've said, oh, I don't have a contract in place. Why? You need to have a contract. It protects yourself and it protects your client. You are signing an agreement to do a certain amount of work. If you don't have a contract in place, there's nothing that says, hey, this is what I'm doing for you for this price. So your client has free reign to say, well, can you do this? Can you do that? There's nothing that says that you can't. So you need to have a contract. It's so important. And there's 3 things that I recommend every contract has. One is the scope of work. So lay out exactly what it is that you're doing for the client and for what price. The second thing is you want to make sure that you have something in your contract that says what happens if they try to go outside of that scope of work, because you don't want to work for free, right? So if they're asking for things that are outside of the scope that's in that contract, you can say, well, this is outside of the project scope and this is how much that's going to cost. And then they can decide from there whether or not they want to move forward or not. The third thing I recommend every contract has is some sort of payment schedule clause. So whatever that looks like for you should be in your contract. I highly recommend that you get a deposit up front. There will be situations where people abandon projects halfway through, a quarter of the way through, whatever it is. People just decide, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. But you put in a certain amount of work. So if you have a deposit in place, then you're getting paid for some of that work that you've done, and you're not out the entire amount. And that deposit should be non-refundable. Whatever your payment schedule looks like, it's something that you definitely want to add into your contract. Okay, so you have the client expectations set. You figured out what that process looks like. You have a great contract set in place and you developed an intro packet to send to clients before they even get started working with you. But there's still going to be clients that push the boundaries. It's just a part of doing business. So what do you do in that situation when you've done everything right, you've done all the legwork, but they're still trying to push the boundaries and they're still trying to get stuff for free? Well, you have to be firm. That's the first thing. You have to say, hey, this is the contract that you signed and this is, what was outlined that I'm going to do for you. So if you want me to do these additional things, then I'm going to need to be compensated for that. Sometimes the client doesn't read the contract. Sometimes they just sign it and say whatever. That's not your problem. If you have a contract in place, you can go back to that and say, look, this is what it says that I'm delivering for you. So if your client doesn't like that, it's kind of the worst case scenario, and you have to just be upfront and say, hey, I don't work for free, and if you don't like the way things are and the way I work, maybe we're not the best fit for each other. And you really do need to know when it's time to let go. Because sometimes clients will be pushy and they'll test you and they'll try to say that they got into something and they didn't understand what it was that they were getting, even though you have the contract in place, you have all the information sent to them up front, they still will do that. So sometimes you just have to let go and say, okay, well, this didn't work out. We weren't the best fit for each other. And that's okay. In business, that's going to happen. And you just have to do that sometimes and move on and deal with people that really do understand the way you work and want to work with you and know that you do provide a great service that goes above and beyond what the competitors are offering. So to recap, the first thing that you want to do is craft an incredible client experience. Really know what that is from start to finish. The second thing you want to do is create an intro packet to send to those prospective leads that might be interested in your services. Third thing, have a really great contract. Make sure that it has all the things that you need to cover the bases that protects you as well as protects the client. And the fourth thing that you're going to want to do is be firm and stick to those boundaries that you've set. Don't bend because you are afraid of what the client might say or you're afraid that you're going to lose out on money. If you're working with people that are pushing your boundaries, it's really not worth it. It just causes a lot more stress for you in the long run. So be firm, stick to what you said, and follow that process that you've created, because it really does help in the long run with your overall business. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to our channel for weekly videos related to topics like this. And if you ever were in a situation where a client pushed your boundaries and you started getting into that territory of working for free and doing things above and beyond the project scope, I'd love to hear how you handled that. What did you do to handle the situation? Did you resolve it by referring to your contract, or did ultimately you say, you know what, this is just not working, and you terminated the relationship? Let me know what you have to say. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.